guys, welcome back to Impact Learning. Today what we're looking at here in our study programs is this concept of efficiency in the classroom. Now, some of you may look at this and be like, what? Why would I really want to be efficient in the classroom? Like, the teacher's got to sort of sometimes do stuff, sometimes not, and I'm hanging out with my friends. So what are we looking at here? At the end of the day, the objective is to get as much free time for you as possible, because let's face it, you're a teenager, you want to hang out with your friends, you want to go on Facebook, you want to chill out, you just want to do whatever you want to do. Go for a run, whatever. Whatever it is that you do in your free time that you enjoy doing. And so that's what the key objective is, because after all, that's what the purpose of life is, to enjoy things, right? So what we look at is how can we optimize our schoolwork to get really, really good marks, and at the same time free up as much time as possible. After all, the philosophy here is do the least amount of work to get the most and the best possible results. So taking a look at that, what can we do to really optimize the time so that when we're outside of school, we can do whatever we want? Now, some people can get this down packed really well, and that's what I'm going to help you do today. So when we take a look at school, we're there 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, on average. Whether you like it or not, you are going to be in school 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. That part's not going to change. What you do after school does. And so there's a set amount, about 30 hours a week that you're in class. Actually, it works out to be about 25. 25 hours a week that you're in class there one way or another. So whilst you may want to spend that time talking with friends and hanging out and just mucking around, you can also look at the basis is what's more worthwhile? Mucking around with friends in class or doing what I actually want after class? Guilt-free. And so what we look at is that time in class. That's really quite essential. Because the more you optimize that, and the more work you get done and the more you achieve in that time frame, the less you have to do in your free time. So what we're looking at is specifically what we can do in class to make the most of it. There's a couple of different things. Number one, we're going to take a look at focusing on your teacher. Now, when we look at communication, there's the classic model of communication: body language, tone of voice, and the actual words that we use. Now, for those of you who are unaware of this, over 50% of our communication is from body language. That means watching what the other person is doing. So if you really want to optimize your time in class and get the value from your teacher, you actually need to be physically watching. That means paying attention and looking at them. There's one thing to be looking out the window and listening to what they're saying, but basically you just missed out on half the message. There is so much more value in what their body language has to say. Now, I can't explain it in detail as to how that works, but the way they talk about things, the way they explain things, and the gestures they use are what gives value to what they say. When you watch them and you see the intensity of their body language and their expressions, that's what really gives a value to what they're saying and what makes it fit. Secondly, it's easier to follow. Now, it may seem weird, but by watching them, it actually comes across as easier to follow their train of thoughts and understand what they're actually talking about. Now, if we're to do this and we take on 50% more knowledge in class, whatever we were previously learning, we've now learned 50% more. That's 50% more we no longer have to learn at home in our free time. Step one, watch your teacher. Second element to it is in class, there's a whole bunch of time that we can be messed around either doing the work or mucking with friends. Now, I'm all for a balance to it. By all means, have your jokes, have your little comments and your conversations in class, because that's what makes things interesting, right? If we were just to just work, that'd be boring. However, if you're really going to optimize, you need to focus on the task at hand for periods of time. Now, our attention span is what determines the quality of the work we're doing. The longer the attention span, the more we focus on the one thing, the more we absorb it. So that means that if you're spending a minute working and a minute talking, minute working, minute talking, you're not going to get much value out of it. If you spend 5 minutes working and a couple of minutes talking, you're going to get better value. So if you're going to start something, finish it before you move on to the next topic. Because if you interchange between topics, it's just going to go over your head and you're not going to get a whole picture of it. The way our memory works with information is on a whole picture basis. So you can take individual items, or you can take in the whole picture. Let's take a look at a home entertainment system. We know from the image of a whole home entertainment system, there's a TV, there's the sound component, there's speakers, there's usually a DVD player on the odd occasion, there used to be a VCR, there's usually a set-top box, something along the lines of Foxtel, speakers, I've already said that, and a few other components to it, right? That's because we can see the whole picture. Whereas if we said there's a TV, speakers, DVD player, we're a bit vague. Whereas when we say a home entertainment system, we get the whole picture. And that's what the crucial element is. It's a lot easier to take that single item and break it down from there. Now this is how we process our information. It all fits into categories and everything like that. And so if you want to really optimize what you're learning in class, you need to get the whole category. Because if you get the whole category, you'll understand it as a whole picture and it is easier to remember. So the second element we're going to look at is the 24-hour rule. Now if you haven't been introduced to the 24-hour, you need to go and watch that video now, because that's what's really going to optimize the time you've spent in class to its maximum. So check out the next video on the 24-hour and that will really help out. Let's take a look at a few other things that we can look at in regards to things to do in class. Now, in class you're there for a minimum amount of time, and when we look at certain subjects like math, for example, we're looking at repetition. Now, I only believe in doing repetition on a basis until you know it. If you've proven the fact that you know something, there's no need to work on it or study it anymore. Just simply retest every now and then. The 24-hour rule is what optimizes that. Check out the video for that. What we want to look at is the testing basis there. If you really want to cash in on your time, you need to be testing yourself at home to find out where your actual gaps are. That way, you can go to the teacher and get them to specifically show it to you in detail. Now, not all teachers are going to be open-minded enough to do this, and that's fine, I understand that, but the majority of them are. So if you've got a specific gap and you go up to your teacher and be like, hey, look, can you explain this? They're willing to help you out with it. So if you really want to optimize your time in class, test yourself at home, figure out what you do know, and figure out what you don't know. Take in the list of what you haven't mastered yet, to your teacher, and get them to focus on that area for you to really optimize. That way, very few people in class do this. You could actually be customizing your classes to what you actually need as opposed to what the whole class needs. Because teachers work on feedback. The more feedback you give them, the more they're going to specify things. So, number one, keep in contact with your teacher. Let them know what you have learned and what you have yet to learn. Right. That's all for today when it comes to class time efficiency. Just those 3 tricks there will optimize your class time and really boost your things up massively. Now, I've done it before myself since learning these things. I was in a Cert 4 on business a little while ago, and in the class time the teacher told a lot of stories and sort of networked a lot of those elements, and I knew that a lot of those stories weren't reasonable for me, like they were of no value to me. So whilst he was doing that part, I was focusing on other things there. So what I would do is when he came question time, I would take the information and the things that I would